Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, the place to laugh, sip on a little wine, and have open and honest conversation. Here you will find the tools to resolve real life issues. Unwind, pour up a glass, and get ready to exhale. Alrighty, welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val. I have the honor of sitting next to me, Queen Shiba. Queen Shiba has been on our radio, but I had to do this intimate deep dive with her. Queen Shiba, if you haven't checked her out, she is on YouTube. She's all over the page, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. But I had to do this interview with her. She was my sister before she became my sister. We connected and she didn't even know anything about me. She is a woman that truly loves and embodies intelligence, grace, and just, a professionalism. When you step out here and you're really getting ready to pour into God's people, you're getting ready to pour into people. She takes it serious, and she spoke to my soul the very first time I clicked onto her podcast. So I hope today, her podcast, her channel. I hope today that she speaks to your soul, because we're going to talk about something that is dear to my heart, and where is the justice? The title of the show today is Where is the Justice? We're talking about Shanquella Robinson. With that being said, let me introduce here the fabulous Queen Shiba. Tell them who you are and why are you here, and what do you have? What is your connection with the Shanquella Robinson story?
Okay, well, hello everybody. I am Queen Shiba. So what I tend to do, and I use my platform for, is to hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. I cover hot topics, I cover reality television. And the Shanquella Robinson case really, really hit home for me personally, because the likeness of the group that went to Mexico, and I'm like, what?
That could have been me and my girlfriend.
Yeah, and nobody helped her.
Right.
And it just, from there, I just started digging, and here we are today.
And I guess I left off another piece that really spoke to me. I had no idea that you were right here in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And so I had my team, because I'm really, for me, when I'm reaching out, or we're reaching out to connect with people in this arena, for me, it's all about integrity. It's what are you bringing to the table? Are you a person of integrity? Mm-hmm. So I just don't want people sitting on this platform talking, just to be talking. What are you bringing? And I have been watching you for a while, and I just loved how you took Shanquella as if she was your sister, or if she was your daughter, and you took her and you placed her in your heart through all of the investigation, because all I kept thinking about this whole time, and still today, that could have been one of my daughters or my sons going on a trip with their friends, and they didn't return home. So I'm going to ask, and I'm going to do something a little different here. Normally there is a lot of questions that go on, but because of Queen Shiba and her ability to do a deep dive in the experience from a black woman's perspective, or just from anyone's perspective, she does a deep dive. I'm going to allow her to really educate us, because from her perspective, on some of the things that have come across. She's had the ability, she's had the experience, she's had to talk with some of the family's attorneys. They reached out to her because of and I do believe it's because of what she brings, her integrity, that the attorney for the family would reach out to her, to you, to speak to you, because they knew that you, and I believe it's because they knew you were going to speak truth, because you've done your due diligence. So I'm going to lean to Queen Shiba to really bring us into how they went on the trip.
Okay.
When they left, then when they got there, then into what has been some of the issues that the family had to experience, and then what's happening today.
Okay.
So with that being said, tell me, why did you jump? Why was this story So, why was it? Did it pull on your heart? What is it about this story you felt you needed to
Okay.
take on?
Yeah. I had a lot of questions.
Mm.
I was confused. I'm like, how does this happen? And how does everybody get to go home and literally walk over a dead body? How does this happen? How do you leave Mexico? And if, like, and not only that, how does 6 young African American people that have gone there, that went there to party, how do you walk away? How did you explain all of this?
And
How
they
come
let
no
you
one?
out.
I mean, yeah, and nobody said anything.
I think the thing for me, and I said, hey guys, I know I told you I was going to let her talk, but this is just so, it's almost like it's personal for me. It's personal because that could have been my daughter.
Yeah.
Daughters. Okay. So how could, especially in the climate that we're in, African Americans leave Mexico? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. Hear what I'm saying. But whether it been African American, Caucasian, or whoever, how could they walk away and there was a dead body that they were in the room with?
Well, so it goes back to BLM. Black Lives Matter.
There you go.
Do they really?
Do they really?
Whether it's from one end or the other, whether the offense is on this side of the fence or that. Do they really? I mean, does it really matter? And when we talk about the initial crime, Mexico labeled it as a femicide.
I know. And okay, hey guys, this is gonna be something, and I need you guys to ring me back in because it's personal. Again, when I think about that, I think about the young lady, and I can't remember her name. She was down in another country, and she was partying, having a good time. She was
Natalie Holloway.
There you go. A much different.
Aruba.
She was in Aruba.
I think so. Or is Aruba the Bahamas?
I think it.
I can't remember.
Well, that's where she was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, if we could, to start off, because I told you to start one way, let's compare the two.
Well, so I mean, there's just so many differences in dynamics. We have to consider the time frames. You know, that was in the early 2000s, I believe, late 90s.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but also Natalie went on a school trip. It's like a senior trip. That's when you graduate. You know, you go, and Natalie left with the guy and never came back. So it wasn't a situation where her friends turned against her.
Right.
You know, they knew something happened to Natalie. They just didn't know what.
But when I say let's compare, let's think about how much and how the media was all eyes on. They were so it stayed, what I can remember back then, they stayed on this case. It stayed relevant in the news media. It was just like, it was a regular loop. Just like the media. Not like the media, just like the weather. It just kept going on a loop.
Okay, so when we think about the commonalities in the case, both cases happen in foreign countries, but then when we think about the differentiators, Natalie's mother was extremely vigilant. She kept going back to that country. She was not accepting no for an answer. And she actually, it actually caused the parents to separate. But her mother continued on. It's almost like she forced the issue.
Okay, so with that being said, do you think it's something different in a mother than it is with a father? Or what do you think caused the split? Because they wanted her to just leave it alone?
I don't know. You know what? That's a really good question.
We need to dig into that.
That's a really good question. I don't think a mother can ever leave it alone.
You can't. Not something that you bared. How could you just, you have to know that.
I think her mother was not going to rest until she found out exactly what happened to her daughter. And she did find out. It took a lot of years. It took a lot of tries, but she did find out. And I think with Shanquella's situation, we have to think about Her mom and her father, they were not together, right?
Okay. Yes.
We also have to think about the story that was told. Initially, they were told that Shanquella had passed away from alcohol poisoning, which is considered self-induced.
Right, but
harm.
I think it was also a narrative without me really, like I said, you did a deep dive, without me really understanding. Even the media put it out as if they were still very close, the father and the mother. Were they close to your knowledge?
I know they hadn't been together in a number of years.
Okay.
Now, so you have to think about, this case is still evolving.
Right.
I think there's some discrepancies. I think there's probably a little bit, but also that's a natural part of grieving.
Right.
Right? As
It's
parents.
your perception.
And I think there's some things that the father have shared that he wished. So he actually raised Shanquella, which I did not know initially when I started the research. He said he wasn't given the opportunity to protect her.
Oh.
Had he known, and it almost
So
seems
he
as if he
raised her.
was
I thought,
kept
I
out of
thought
the
the
loop.
mother raised.
I think it was him, based on his conversation.
Okay. Okay.
But he did not know his daughter was going to Mexico.
Oh.
Her
wow.
mother did, her sister did, but he did not know. And he felt like, had he known, he would have been able to ask her
More questions.
who you're going with, because the mother did not know who she was going with. And he said, as a father, he felt like he would have been able to be a little bit more vigilant in protecting her. And he feels like, had that happened, she may have been here today.
You know, just that part right there, I can only imagine my husband with our daughters. You know, there are certain questions that fathers, as a protector, are going to ask. We're going to come from an emotion. We're going to ask questions. But I can only imagine him as a father that who have raised my child, and I didn't ask those questions.
Or I didn't even know.
I didn't know.
The last time he said he spoke with her was on Wednesday evening. She gets to Mexico on Friday. In the wee hours of the morning, Saturday morning, he gets a call that his daughter, or maybe Saturday day, he gets a call that his daughter was no longer here with us. Imagine that.
So to me, if I hear that, that means there was a breakdown at some point. Because if he raised her, and I'm sorry, allegedly, because I don't have any facts, I'm just thinking from my sanctified little pea brain. Well, no, it's not a pea brain. It's highly intelligent. But anyway, and I'm thinking from my not really having the facts together and not really understanding, there was a disconnect. Because if he raised her, there was a real relationship there. And I couldn't imagine my daughters going somewhere and not really communicating with their dad, even on a surface level.
Well, there's a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
it makes me think like there's always been times that parents have said, well, don't let your mother know. Don't let your father know. So I'm thinking, well, that could have been a possible scenario.
Right.
And also I'm thinking about the dynamics. The number of men that were there. Shanquella's not a child. She was a 25-year-old woman.
And you know what? With that being said,
She probably
I can
did
see
want
my
her
daughter.
father.
I can
Yeah.
see that being from a girl, young lady, talking to the mom versus to the dad, because dad is going to immediately like, okay, so who are these guys? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was, I wish I knew more. Like, and that's a really good question. How come Shanquella didn't tell her father she was going to Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not taking anything away from
No. But
dad
she did
being
tell one of her parents. So
yes,
that's a
but
good
it's
thing.
not taking anything away from the relationship and the love she has for her dad. So I'm not here judging dad, their relationship, and picking through it. But the question is, what is it, or why? Or why did the father not hear anything about his daughter in Mexico?
That's what that's his question too. That's the $1 million question. But also the father, but he knew better. So when he was told, or the information was relayed to him, that Shanquella had passed away from alcohol poisoning, he was like, no, nah. She may drink and have a little fun, but not to that degree. So he started digging.
Because he has raised her.
He knows her.
There's a relationship.
Yeah,
He knows.
he
Wow.
knows her. So he knows her behavior. He knows probably the limits and the levels she'll go, but not to the point that she'll drink herself into, oblivion. So he started to call around. He was like, no. He called Mexico. He didn't speak a lick of Spanish. And he found the correct morgue, I think morgue or funeral home that Shanquella was at. He talked to the lady. The lady stayed with him throughout the entire process. He paid, over $6,000 to get her body shipped back to the United States of America.
The father did.
And when they got the body back here in the U.S., when he was able to view that body in that moment, actually when he called, the lady at the funeral home or at the morgue said, "Sir, alcohol poisoning." No, your daughter had a broken neck and a severely injury to her spinal cord. So when the body came, and he saw the body, you could still see the bruises and the impact, he said, and everything to her face. So that's when he started to say, something's not adding up. What did they do to my daughter?
So it was the father knowing his daughter,
her behaviors,
and the things that she did that raised the first red flag.
Yeah. Wow. Because so what happened is when the Cabo Six, that's what we call them.
Yes.
The Cabo Six.
And if you don't mind, do you, and I have no problem with, we like to say, because to me, when you say Cabo Six, they're nameless, they're faceless, and we're not accusing anybody of anything. All we're saying here, allegedly.
Yeah.
All we're saying, these are the people that this young lady went on a trip with.
Yeah,
right?
so we're not calling them her friends.
Yes, there you go.
So it used to be she went on a trip with her
friends. She did not.
They were not her
friends.
friends.
They were not her friends.
So we need to clear that up.
That has to be.
So the internet actually coined them to turn the Cabo Six because they literally got away. How do you get away with murder? It's like how to get away with murder. And they literally disappear from the face of the earth. How does that happen?
How do you get
in a predominantly black community and nobody's saying anything? None of the churches, no law enforcement, neighbors.
Okay, before you really get into it, I know this is the thing that I didn't understand. How did you get out of Mexico?
We want to know.
How did you get out of Mexico? I think I heard something about them reaching back out to the family, trying to get money to.
Well, that was in the process of everything going on in Mexico.
So they were associates because they were not friends.
Shanquella did not associate with anybody in that group with the exception of one who was supposed to be her best friend. And that's the person that I feel allegedly lured her on that trip.
Okay, but what is it about Shanquella that one would want to lure her? Because everything that I've heard, she's highly intelligent. This is a young lady that was about her business. She was an entrepreneur. Why her? Was she that successful in her business and in the community that she had something that someone either had a problem with or they felt they can gain from her?
I mean, what is it about anybody that keeps people from hating you?
Oh.
If you
I'm
look
glad
at
you asked.
You know what I'm saying?
Like your hair is so gorgeous today. If I was insecure about your hair, because I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You are absolutely, and it's just so striking on you. If I had an issue with me, then because you came on my set looking fabulous, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's the part of the human nature and the behavioral traits that I hone in on. And when you look at the dynamics of the friend group and the impact and the injuries, I went through the autopsy report. I'm like, not only did she have a broken neck and her spinal cord was injured, she had pelvic injuries. She had defensive wounds. I mean, it was just like, what happened?
So was it almost like they just beat her and just kind of drug her? I mean, was it like she was a rag doll? I don't want to use
saw
that.
A snippet. Let me just ask you something. Sure. Had you not seen the videotape, right? If there was no video footage, would you have believed a woman did that amount of physical damage to another woman?
Absolutely not.
Who would you have thought?
A male.
All right. So that's the theory I'm going with.
And for me, and I'm glad you said that. And I really love how you broke that down because I cannot imagine a male a female, really to that magnitude doing that. So what I'm hearing and what I'm thinking and what I've always thought, allegedly, that there had to be
more to this.
More to this.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I think in the end, there was what we saw and what was video allegedly was
that's a snippet.
A snippet of what really took place.
Yes.
And the brutality
of the nature of this. We don't know if that was the final moment. We don't know if that was the beginning, but it does not line up with the autopsy report. Initially, the maid said that the person that she witnessed on camera was a man with a wig on.
Oh, wow.
But everybody that's why Mexico initially labeled it a femicide, because of the accurate details provided by the witnesses that said, well, there was a man wearing a wig in that villa. And we saw him take it on and take it on and off. Now you have to keep in mind, they were there less than 24 hours.
So this already, if they were there less than 24 hours, this was already planned prior to them getting there.
That's what I'm leaning towards, because Nazir Wiggins, the one that was the most vocal upon returning to the United States, he continued to say it's much deeper than what y'all think. He goes and he talks. I'm like, okay, if it's much deeper.
Is that the young man that did this whole interview of himself? He was on, I don't know if he was on YouTube. He put his hand on the Bible. He put his hand on the Bible, and that was allegedly her best friend.
No, that was not. That was one. So there was one. That was not her best friend. Her best friend has yet to support the family. Upon returning to the United States.
So what's the guy's name?
Nazir.
That's not the best friend?
No. Khalil.
Okay, so
that guy, the one recording.
This is so
That's
good.
Nazir.
I'm so sorry. Y'all see how good
He's
this is?
one,
I even have the background people jumping in.
Yeah. So Nazir is the one that claims to be innocent. He claims to have gotten here the day later. He claims that when he landed, he knew nothing. And that was the first time that they mentioned alcohol poisoning. He claimed that he also was set up, right? That he didn't know. Now he's a part of this.
He
claims he rubbed her and sued her.
Okay, so that's the one I may be getting wrong. So that's the one that was supposed to be the best friend.
No, that's Nazir.
Okay.
The best friend has not said one word.
Oh my God.
Nobody else has said a word except Nazir. And he's talking to say I was not there. So there's some discrepancy in was he there?
Okay,
was he not there?
Please make that plain, because the young man that's out there on video that we see that have done the interview, that's not the best friend.
No.
Because to the naked eye, to us, the unknown, allegedly, that appears to be, to me.
No, it's not her best friend. Her best friend is Khalil Cook. And let me tell you his role. His role was he invited her. That's the first thing. His role was also coordinating going to the mother's home after they left Mexico. When they left Mexico, what they did is they took Shanquella's suitcase.
Yes.
And gave it to her mother. They came by once or twice. They sat down. They had dinner with the mother. They were planning the funeral with the mother, down to the detail of exactly what colors.
But that makes no sense.
What colors they would wear. But I want you to think about the craziness of that.
I just lost my best friend.
No, and you're responsible for it.
And yeah, but I need you to hear something deeper. I'm sorry. I'm over here. I'm getting information. Oh my God. I went on a trip with my best friend. She has been allegedly, she's not with us. Allegedly. Well,
that's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So then the best friend allegedly was not there.
He was there.
He came later.
No, you want Nazir to be her best friend.
I do.
Nazir is not her best friend. Her best friend is Khalil Cook. Let's just say, so the best friend was there.
So he was in there when they were filming?
Yes.
And he's not
the
saying
one that
anything.
we
Do y'all
believe.
hear this?
He's the one that said, "Are you going to fight back?" And she says, "No."
That was him.
That was him.
And he's not. Oh my God.
And she says, "No," very sweetly. Number one. The second thing is, based on the concierge detailed account of what happened, you know, they get to the villa, to the resort when guests are supposed to arrive. The main guest, who was Dejanay Jackson, the one we saw in the film attacking Shanquella, that's the one that the maid initially reported to be a man with a wig on, that she saw taking the wig on, off and on. And that's, we cannot substantiate that to be false and or true. So we don't know. That's the $1 million question. The other thing is, the concierge says that Dejanay Jackson, upon arrival, said, "Listen, I am not going to be there on time. We're not going to be there on time. We're actually going to be late to the villa." He said, "Okay." But when he got to the villa,
she was there.
No. There were 2 people there that nobody told him would be arriving. So the $1 million question is, how did those 2 people get in? Who let them in?
They were already in the villa.
He was notified by the chef, "There's 2 people here." And there was an African-American man there that he did not know his name. And he told the concierge, "Who are you?"
So they weren't on the list? How did they get in the room?
We still want to know that. We want to know who let them in. How do you get to an Airbnb, a resort, without notifying the host?
Well, I'm going to take it even a step further. I go into a resort. That's an Airbnb.
You have to check in.
You have to check in. Your name has to be on the list. You have to show ID.
Who let you in?
And there is here's the thing. There is someone, or maybe 1 or 2 people that's named on the list that has control.
That's the main guest.
That's the main guest, right?
That said, "We're going to be late."
We're going to be late.
So the main guest and the group were late. He was not made aware. See, concierge went to go open up the house
and get it
for
ready.
the guests. So how did these 2 guests get in, and he was not made aware of the operation?
Well, there's
That's
2
the
things
first
I have
thing.
an issue with. Why would the concierge let someone
He did
in?
not.
They were already in the
That's
room.
what he's. Yeah.
I need y'all to hear this. And
That's what he's saying on the detailed report to the United States government that they took to Washington, D.C. He said when he got there, the chef said, "Hey, listen, there are 2 people here."
Already in the room.
Follow this in the villa.
In the villa.
Large villa. Yeah. He said there was an African-American male that was there. And the male comes up to the concierge to say, "Who are you?" Now, that's pretty confident. That's pretty bold.
Like,
to
I'm
be
running something.
in Mexico.
Yeah. Who
to
are
be
you?
in somebody else's property and not introducing yourself.
You question, who are you? So you come with some authority. I'm just saying.
So that's what we're trying to piece together. The second thing is, there was a woman there, to which I believe was Shanquella. But the concierge said she never came out the room. She never showed her face. So what happens is that the final group, they land in Mexico. They make a call to the concierge. He's waiting, they're late. And they say to him, "You know what? We're not going to come straight to the villa. We're going to go shopping."
That makes no sense. You're not going to put your bags up?
Hello.
I'm sorry. That absolutely, I'm exhausted. I'm going to freshen myself up. I'm going to bring my bags, even if I don't go in the room.
I want to look at the lay of the land.
I'm dropping my things off to make sure everything is good.
Who does that?
No one.
In Mexico. No one.
Let me tell you, if I'm going any place that I've never been, even if I'm coming to a place that I've been, I'm in a different room. I'm in a different set. I need to make sure everything is good because that's my money's there.
So trust your instinct when you're listening. So even that, I'm like, most people don't do that in a foreign country. Who's gonna carry luggage? So they go
to go shopping with their suitcases.
Shopping. So now they're really late getting there. Shanquella still has not come out. So that's another red flag. That's like all these red flags. Still has not come out.
Shanquella is already there.
I believe it's Shanquella. There was a male and a female. The female never showed her face. And this is why I think it's Shanquella. Follow me very closely. The man he did not know because the male never gave his name. So the group is late. They go shopping. They finally get to the villa. They get to the villa at 8 p.m. I'm going to say approximately 8 p.m. It's time for dinner. They're in the back. Now, keep in mind, Shanquella still has not come out. If I'm in a big, beautiful place in Mexico and my homegirls get here.
I'm coming out. I'm ready when they get there.
Drinks?
Yes.
Hey, girl. Shanquella still has not come out. So, it's 8 o'clock.
And she been in there because Shanquella, since that's the only one's name on the list,
no names yet. Just the male and the female.
Well, how did she get into?
There's no list because until the group gets there, he brought the list. Remember, he didn't know there were 2 people already there without his knowledge.
So how did they get? Okay, I'm sorry. There's this. Excuse me. This keeps going. How did they get access?
We don't know. Nobody knows.
But you understand where I'm going with this?
We're all asking.
How have these 2 people gained access to something someone else has paid for?
We don't know.
That name is not even on the list.
And how come people were not forthcoming with that information? Honest people do honest things. If I know my good girlfriend and her guy friend are coming, I want them to be let in, so I'm going to let concierge know, hey, my people will be here. And if I don't let you know, it's because I don't want you to know.
But again, I can't imagine going to any place, especially a luxury place, and they're going to give me, I'm going to gain access to a suite without ID.
Well, at this point, you weren't supposed to be there.
Okay,
but you don't know.
But you understand what I'm saying. Well, even if I'm not supposed to be there, I'm in there. So either someone let me in that's connected.
But he has the ID. So he has everything. The concierge.
Okay, right. So if he has the ID.
He came with the sign-in sheet to do a walk around through the villa and discovered there's 2 people already
in
here.
the suite before they
Remember,
even checked
the girl
in.
never came out, so he couldn't ask her for her ID.
Okay, but you hear listen to me. How did they gain access into the...
Nobody
you see
knows.
where I'm going? How did I get into Barbados, Sandals Resort, without checking at that front desk to get my key to walk to the room? Someone had to give me that.
Well, absolutely. But if I'm setting you up, I'm not going to document you on anything.
But
no, listen. If it's Shanquella and their intent is to harm her,
I feel that.
You get what I'm saying?
I totally feel that. But here's my question. It goes back to that. So Shanquella called and said, we're not coming straight.
No, Dejanay. Shanquella was not the main guest. Dejanay Jackson, the one we saw attacking Shanquella.
I love you correcting me. Because them names, they know I tap names on the Love and Victory show. So
Dejanay is the one who's orchestrating everything.
Wow.
The one that says, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. So I want you to pay attention because if that's a level of confidence to say, I'm not coming there. I'm going to go shopping first. And not only is that weird, you don't speak Spanish as a black girl. What are you doing in Mexico? Who do you know?
Who you know
in Mexico?
Okay, that was my
that you're so comfortable parading around the streets in a very dangerous company
with suitcases.
Because everybody's fair game in Mexico. So what kind of connections did you have there? That's the first thing. And then let me get to this part. So everybody arrives. They're running late. Right now the clock is ticking. They're supposed to be eating. They hired a chef. In his detailed documented report, he says he tells them, okay, he tells Dejanay Jackson, y'all have to eat. And if you don't, we have to charge you for more hours. At this point, Dejanay is like, no, we're going to eat. Dejanay tells everybody to go eat. They all come to the table, the people he's already seen. And then the last person that came to the table was Shanquella Robinson. And that's when he knew that's the one that's been in the room the entire time. Wow. And when she came to the table, he said he used, I cannot think of the Spanish word, but you can Google this. It's public record. You can pull. He used a word, and it wasn't indifferent. He said her face was hard to read. And in that moment, I can't help but to think, when she got there, did she realize, oh my God,
I've been set up.
I've been set up. I'm in trouble. I'm not coming out my room. This is just me as I'm thinking. And then if her face was stoic, was she asking for help?
Yes.
Was she like, hey, bro?
Okay. Oh my God.
I'm around. I didn't even know these people were coming. Because she didn't come out to greet them.
Oh my God. She was trying to stay in a safety place.
And she called her mother right before she came out. And her mom said, the last time she talked to Shanquella, she said, I gotta go, Mom. I'm here in Mexico. I gotta go. They're calling me to come eat tacos.
Wow. Hey guys, there's gonna be a part 2 of this. We're gonna stop for a second. We're gonna come right back in.